Welcome to Barbershop Quartet Mastery. It's my new YouTube channel with my special guest, Renee Porzel.
Hi.
Hi, Renee. Thank you so much for
Thanks.
being willing to give an interview.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm just going to read a little bit, if you don't mind, off of what I got off the Melodeers website. It's just saying that Renee Porzel, everybody probably already knows who you are, but for those who are unfamiliar with our wonderful hobby of women's Sweet Adelines Barbershop, Renee Porzel is an internationally recognized teacher and coach, constantly in demand for her expertise in the area of showmanship. Woo. She is highly respected for her ability to inspire and motivate others. And I know that's true because I've been off on the sidelines, inspired and motivated by you without even really having met you before.
Thank you.
So, just to get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been in barbershop?
I became a Sweet Adeline in June of 1990, so I'm about to celebrate 26 years as a member. And I live in a suburb of Chicago with my husband, and we have two sons. One is married, and we have our first granddaughter who lives a mile away, and that has been all-consuming since last September and really, really wonderful. And our other son lives in residential placement about an hour from our home. He was born with severe handicaps, and so he lives with other in a residential facility for disabled adults.
Wow. Well, congratulations on your successful life and your new grandchild.
Thank you.
Yes. How did you find barbershop?
I found barbershop through my older sister who lived in Florida at the time, and a friend of hers in the neighborhood had talked her into joining Sweet Adelines. And she fell in love with it and wanted me to become a member. I sang all through school. I was a music major in college. In high school, I performed in music theater, studied dance, took piano lessons, played the flute, took voice lessons, was involved in show choir. That was my real love at the time. And then I, as I said, went to college for music education. And she kept pushing and pushing. She wanted me to go check out the chorus near my home. So lucky me, she did some research and found out that the chorus 7 miles from my home was the Melodeers Chorus.
Wow.
Who at the time had competed internationally a number of times and had a long track record of winning regional contests. And I went the first time and absolutely fell in love with what they were doing. They were working on a ballad, Broken Hearted, and there was 80 of them. And I had never, ever, through all of my music education classes or any of the music that I was involved in, heard any sound like that. And I was absolutely hooked. And went home, and my family said, "So what did you think?" I said, "Well, you know, the kids are young. My oldest was 3, and our youngest was 7 months old. And my husband was in advertising. He's a film editor. So he had very fluctuating hours. So my mom said, "Why don't you just go again next week?" And I did. So my family teases her all the time that this is all because of her. I'm the classic. I started out where I was going to rehearsal one night a week, and within 3 months I had auditioned for the front row of the chorus, and 4 months in I was in a quartet, and the following spring competed in a quartet, and then the chorus won, and we went to international. The chorus went to international, and we placed 3rd.
Wow.
In Baltimore, and then in '94 we won our first championship. And throughout the course of my membership with the Melodeers Chorus, we have 7 international championships right now. And we just competed regionally and scored the highest regional score in the history of the organization. So we're getting ready to go to Vegas in 2017 to try for number 8.
Wow.
So in the course of that was 1994 that we won our first championship, and then I started coaching locally quite a bit, and in 1996 applied for the judging program, and I became a showmanship judge a few years later, and in 1999 became a member of the faculty program and have been traveling, coaching, judging, and teaching ever since that time, and it's just incredible. I never expected any of this. The whole experience is a wonderful surprise and a gift that keeps on giving.
Wow, that's just wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing so much. So when you started coaching, were you coaching choruses or quartets or both?
I started mostly coaching choruses in our local area, and then I progressed because I was competing in a quartet at the time, started having quartets come to my home, and once I began judging, then I started coaching and choruses and quartets all around Sweet Adelines, really. So, but I'd say in the last 15 years is when I've been doing the most coaching of quartets competing at the international level. So I've been very, very fortunate to coach some quartets who have gone on to win crowns, and it's a wonderful experience watching them go through that life-changing experience of winning an international quartet championship.
Wow, will you name a few?
4 Bettys, Max Factor, Touche, Bling, and Martini so far.
What a wonderful list. All right. Well, I'm going to get down to some of the barbershop mastery tips that you may have. What are the top 5 or 10 tips, whichever you choose, or things you would tell a newly formed beginner quartet?
Beginner quartet. The first thing that I would tell a beginner quartet would be to get a lot of advice on music selection, because it's very important that they choose music that's going to help them begin the educational process of singing in a quartet. So typically we hear recordings of quartets from the international level, or we hear the winning quartets in our region. We start a new quartet and we think, well, we'll sing that song. And if it's too difficult, then the skills that you're working on are going to be frustrating. You're not going to have as much of an educational opportunity. So I would say that they should get advice about what kind of music to start out with. The second tip would be to have a planning meeting for what kind of quartet you want to have. So instead of just doing it willy-nilly and as things come to you, it's much better to approach it with a little bit more structure so that you understand everybody's expectations in the quartet. Often, or it can happen that there are 2 that are very focused on wanting to compete and 2 that just would like to perform more. And those are things you need to find out up front. And the third would be to appoint jobs inside the quartet to make sure that you have everybody participating in the quartet using their strengths. For instance, if one of the 4 of you is very organized, then she could be in charge of all of the record keeping and communication inside the quartet to make sure that everybody knows what's going on. Google Calendar is a great thing for any quartet. If there's somebody who's good with costuming or is interested in that area, then someone should be in charge of that and make sure that that's organized. There are some bookkeeping things involved in buying music, researching, buying arrangements. Somebody can take care of that, and the other person in the quartet could be the quartet contact. So if you break up the jobs, it's a little bit less overwhelming. And what would my last tip be? My last tip would be to have a rehearsal agenda. So if you're going to get together to rehearse, even electronically before the rehearsal happens, make an agenda for what you intend to accomplish so everyone knows what kind of homework to do.
Thank you. Those sound really great. And what would be different if the quartet were advanced?
Really, those are the foundational things that make quartets strong, in my opinion. The most important thing for the higher level would be that they have someone helping them with the way that they look as they sing, because they're beyond working on foundational vocal skill work, and they need to make sure that the way they look is actually selling the story that they're singing. So that's important for a brand new quartet as well. But the higher level quartets are going to need a little bit different kind of input once they start achieving some results with their vocal skills.
That's awesome. All right. What are the top 5 or 10 tips or things you would tell a quartet who wanted to reach the next level quickly?
The gateway to every level is vocal skills. So you compete, you plan a set that you can handle in the first year with advice from people that are experts. And you compete, and then you take each of the 4 score sheets, which we receive in contest, and you plan out exactly the things that you're going to work on to improve what the judges have noticed about your performance. So it's basically a roadmap for your next year leading up to the following competition, because the 4 areas that we're judged in and the 4 score sheets we receive are filled with education. And one of the best ways to use them to your advantage is to have a judge or a coach in your area help you interpret them and lay out an educational plan for the quartet for the upcoming year.
Wonderful, wonderful. What to look for in a coach?
What to look for? I think I would look for a personality where you would know that they are going to coach your quartet specifically with the things that your quartet needs. So you want someone that has some experience coaching so that they're not just saying the things that they say to every other quartet. I think you need to look for someone who's going to customize the education based on the areas that you need to work on. And someone that doesn't talk about themselves too much. I don't know where that came from, but maybe I'm sitting here having to talk about myself.
You're doing a great job, and I really want you to know how much I appreciate this. Everyone is going to love hearing what you have to share.
I hope so.
I'm confident of that. How would you recommend solving a problem of disagreeing on a tempo?
I love that question. Well, many people would say the lead gets to decide. I would say if you're rehearsing with no coach, if it's just a regular rehearsal, there's metronomes, there's apps available for phones, and you really just need to experiment as a quartet. And there are, you start with the tempo markings that are actually on the music, but because the composer or the arranger have chosen the correct tempo for that piece. So you use the metronome to find out exactly what that is. And then you have to base it on each of the 4 parts. Your comfort with breathing, are you able to extend phrases at the tempo that you've chosen? Because those are all things that are going to make the song sound musically better. So I think if you're having tempo issues in the quartet, then a metronome or a Dr. Beat is the way to go. But you have to search for an app that has a metronome that has no pitch. So it needs to be a click. Otherwise, it's awful to sing to them.
Okay. All right, let's see. Are you a realistic goal setter or a dreamer goal setter?
Me personally, or as a coach?
Maybe both.
I would say that I'm a both in both areas. I think that performers and musicians always need to be dreaming for the next goal and the next thing that they want to accomplish. And then you have to be realistic about how you're going to get there. And you have to be systematic. This is one of the most difficult art forms to learn to sing. The 4 voices have to do a great deal of work in order to really match, to really understand how to blend. There's obviously no instrumentation to cover up any of those things. So it's a difficult craft, and you have to be very detailed in how you plan to make progress. Or many quartets don't ever quite get to accomplish some of their dreams. So I think you need to always have a reach goal, and you also need to be realistic about how you're going to get there.
All right. Well, I want to go back to the realistic, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Well, what about if you're in a quartet and you feel that some of the members feel as though it isn't realistic to think that they can be in the top 5 at regional, and then some of the others think something different? How would you support them to make a decision?
Well, if I was coaching a quartet like that, I certainly would be sitting down at a table with them and having them talk through why they have the feelings that they have, and helping them to come to a decision about what their realistic goal is based on those 4 personalities. There may be something, one of the quartet members may have been working towards a goal as a student and not accomplished it, and that's holding her back and keeping her from wanting to develop herself as a singer. And so she needs to feel comfortable enough and trust the rest of her quartet enough to share that. And then they need to decide how they're going to bring the whole quartet forward to continue to make progress. Anybody can be in the top 5 in their region if you work hard, if you work consistently, if you focus on the actual craft and you sing songs that are appropriate for your skill level. You can always get better. Many quartets quit too soon. It takes a long time for 4 voices to learn to really blend, and a lot of people give it up too soon, in my opinion.
All right, well, thank you for that explanation. If you could sum it up in just a few words, what is the most important thing about quartetting? I know that's a pretty vague question, but because when I read over it myself, I thought, obviously fun, but what would you say?
The most important part about being in a quartet is the opportunity to become a better musician, a better singer, and a better artist. And the result of singing in a quartet is that you learn more about barbershop singing than you will in a different way because you're the only one in your section. So the musical responsibility that you have in a quartet pushes you further down the path in terms of education about how to sing the craft. And it's a thrilling experience to, I call it standing on the line. Stand on the line and match your voice to 3 other people and find that success, even if it's just a tag that you learn to sing totally in key and you experience ring, then I think that's really a wonderful chance to learn about performance skills. The other thing is in a quartet, you have to learn as a foursome how to reach an audience without a big chorus around you or a director in the way. And it's a thrilling experience to sing in front of an audience, do a community performance, and have them come up to you and say how much they enjoyed your singing. So it's fun to sing in front of barbershop audiences, but civilians, I call them, are often very surprised that 4 women can stand there and sing that way, especially basses. It seems that civilians are the most surprised by basses. So I think that it's about performing and about learning to be an artist and raising your skills as a musician. That's the best part about it, I think. And you're responsible for your part. So if you're a baritone in a chorus and you would really like to learn more about singing baritone, if you can put a quartet together, even if it's one that is just for casual, not necessarily to compete, you learn so much about what it means to be a baritone in the barbershop chord structure when you're the only one.
Oh, so awesome. And what part do you sing?
Baritone.
Oh.
Of course. What other part is there?
Did you always sing baritone? I guess
No, I started as a lead, and I always say to people, and then I got smart, and of course they react. I have a really low speaking voice, so somebody that I was standing near at the time said, you should be a baritone. She wanted me to be in her quartet, and I loved it. I loved. I was absolutely made to sing harmony. I love the challenge, and I love the way baritone bounces around. So that's my part.
A few more questions.
Okay.
Should a quartet start off with local coaches and shy away from more elite coaches in their first year if they are beginners?
You know what? Most of the Sweet Adeline coaches that I come into contact with can coach any level. And really the choice would be availability and finances if you really want me to get down to it. But if there is someone that's coming in to do a regional school and you have a chance to sign up with them, and it's an internationally known quartet coach, you should absolutely take that opportunity. You can start with members of your chorus, like music team members who are in quartets that can help you if you're a brand new quartet to get you rolling. But if an educational regional event comes up and the faculty is setting up times for quartets to get coaching, you should absolutely do it. It's wonderful to have as much input as you can in the beginning, because they're all going to bring you a little bit different information about quartet singing.
Really great. Um, Favorite warm-ups? Maybe name one.
Favorite warm-ups. My favorite. I can sing it. My favorite warm-up is on a E vowel, and it goes 1 2 1 7 1. So E. It's very gentle, and you can change the vowels, and then you just go up by half steps. And I like to do that for vowel match and also for interval singing and placement match. So if you stand watching each other do that warm up. So then you would go up by half steps and you could do e. So there's many things that gives you: interval singing, vowel matching, connected singing. So as you do the intervals, you don't jump between all of them, and it doesn't have to be loud. It's not about volume. So it's for vowels and range and intervals.
Thanks for that. How long should a quartet warm up?
It depends on the voices. It depends on what they've been doing during the day. Some people are very warmed up and ready to go if they've been talking all day at work, or vice versa. Their voices can be tired. So the quartet needs to have somebody in charge of warm-ups that plans them, includes them in the agenda, and about 20 minutes. So 20 minutes should do it, especially if you're rehearsing at night. Your voices are pretty warm. So I'd say 20, 25 minutes.
That sounds like a winner. Do you believe a quartet who are not good friends can reach queendom?
Well, I haven't seen it very much. I think through the process, many quartets, it takes a very long time to win an international quartet championship, and they become very close. Most of them that I've had the pleasure of being around are very much like family. Their extended families become acquainted. They start doing holiday activities together. Their kids get to know each other. So it's very much like a family. And we all know that families don't always get along. But if you are singing with people that are heading for an international championship, then you're in an environment where you know that they are as dedicated to that goal as you are. And so I tend to think they become very close. If there's constant arguing inside a quartet, they won't even really be on that path, because it's pretty hard to last as a quartet if there's constantly bickering or arguing or power struggles between the four singers. That'd be for another show. That would be for the dark side.
Okay, well, I'm going to invite you in November. I'll do that one.
Side of quartet. The part no one will talk about.
What's your favorite tip?
For quartetting?
Okay.
My favorite tip for quartetting is that you need to buy the judging category description book that is sold from Sweet Adelines, and you need to study what you're actually preparing for. So the book is available to every member. It's a $25 investment that is well worth every penny, because the story that I've always told, if you signed up for, we'll take it out of Barbershop, which makes it easier to relate to. So you're an expert seamstress, and you sign up for a sewing contest, and you spend months making this beautiful fitted business suit, and it is perfect. Every stitch is perfect. Everything about it is exactly the way that you wanted it. You're sure you're going to win. And then you get there, and it's a huge ballroom of people, and they're setting up stations with forms, and they're putting out their projects. So you put your beautiful business suit onto this form, and you decide to go around and look at the competition, and everyone else has sewn a ball gown. And so the thing is, you signed up and never read exactly what the requirements were. So it was a shot in the dark. You made something that you wanted to make, but you signed up for a ball gown competition and made a business suit. So if you don't read the judging category description book, you're basically flying blind as to what the four categories contain. and what you're supposed to learn in order to succeed in that competition setting. So that's my favorite tip. Get to know what the areas that you're trying to achieve success in before you hit the contest stage.
No, thank you so much for that. I have only a couple more questions. Does being extremely organized make a difference?
Well, you have to have at least one person that's very good at record keeping. Someone, as I've already said, that takes care of taking notes, recording coaching sessions, ordering the music, paying the per copy fee, organizing rehearsals. So you don't all have to be A-type personalities who are very organized, but there has to be at least one person who's helping everybody stay organized. Since you're intertwining 4 different schedules, that seems to be the hardest challenge in quartetting now, is that our members are so busy. They tend to be very busy women, and you need someone in the quartet to help you stay organized.
Should a quartet map out the full year to the contest?
Absolutely. So you start with the music selection, as I said in the beginning, with some help from people that you trust, from sources that are going to help you get music that are appropriate for your level. Or you purchase the folios that are for sale by Sweet Adelines. There's one that is an easy folio, which contains songs. They come with learning tracks, and they also come with notes and advice about the traps and pitfalls and things you should look for in each of the arrangements. So we currently have a number of them for sale through international sales, and they are a fantastic source for music for the different levels as quartets get started. And then figure out exactly how many times you're going to rehearse. What I always do is work backwards from an event. So you start at contest and work backwards to wherever it is that your quartet is getting started, and figure out exactly what you're going to do together as a quartet. Instead of just, as I was saying, women are so busy that you're not going to get together enough if you don't plan really far in advance, especially if you have big families, or you work a full-time job and have young children, or you have a quartet member that travels a great deal during the year. You really need to lay it out as far in advance of contest as you can, so that when you get to the contest site, you're as prepared as your quartet wants to be and put your best product on stage. So.
Yeah, love it. How well can a quartet self-assess?
How long?
No, how well?
Oh, how well? It depends what they're trying to analyze. With technology now, a quartet can really do a lot for themselves by using a cell phone, recording themselves singing, and then watching it. One of the biggest, a piece of advice that I always give them is you have to do it right then, because technology allows us to do that now. Videotape it, sit down, and the 4 of you watch it together. But make a list of what it is you're going to watch for. Mm-hmm. So otherwise we get very caught in watching ourselves and thinking, ew, I need to get a haircut, I need to lose 10 pounds, why am I standing like that? So a piece of advice that I would love to share of quartets is watch yourselves with the sound off. If you want to gain some information and the 4 of you want to start developing the physical expression that you use when you sing, turn the sound off and you won't be distracted by that. You'll get a much different impression of yourselves if you're not listening.
Thanks. That's an idea I also share. Do you have any other offerings? This is the last question.
The last question. Quartetting is a wonderful way to learn how to become a better singer. Barbershop music is difficult to learn, but extremely rewarding. So if you have an opportunity to sing in a pickup quartet for singing Valentine's, and that leads you to participate in an actual quartet to go to the contest stage, it's an extremely wonderful journey as a musician and as a singer, and you will find out things about yourself that you never knew in that setting, and I highly recommend it.
All right, well, thank you so much, Renee Porzel.
Thanks for having me.
Woo! Totally awesome.